My name's Stuart Polak, which is Lord Polak. I'm a member of the House of Lords, which is the upper house in the United Kingdom, and it's an appointment which I became a Lord in 2015.
What did this election mean for the future of the UK?
Well, it was a very important election because you have to go back. What had happened is that the Labour Party had been sort of taken over by far left. A group called Momentum had taken over. So when Jeremy Corbyn became leader of the Labour Party, this was a very unusual thing that happened in our country. The two major parties have tended to be sort of either centre-left or centre-right, and the far left had taken over. So one of our two major parties had been taken over by the extreme left. So extreme left on economics, extreme left on other things, and of course in terms of Israel and Jewish communal issues, it was of great concern. And the victory by Boris Johnson was really important for the Jewish community, it was important for the relationship with Israel, and it was actually really important for Britain as a whole.
What parallels do you see now that the Americans are being faced with this new leftism in the Democrat Party?
Sure. I'm not an expert about American politics, but there are definitely, or seems to be, a number of similarities that has happened within the Democratic Party, where the sort of far left seem to have taken over and become central. It's interesting because I remember when Jeremy Corbyn was elected, a lot of people in the Conservative Party thought this was great. He's unelectable. But things can change very, very quickly. And he became electable. And the problem was that his views, and I said this I remember at the time, his views, which are very difficult on so many issues, become central. In other words, they become part of one of our two major parties in being led by somebody who has views from the extreme. Those views become centre. Acceptable almost, and some of the things that he has done or believed in become central to society. And so the defeat of Corbynism was really important, and of course we were very fortunate that we had a very strong campaign and not only defeated but trounced them, and they're now looking introspectively. They're in the middle of a leadership campaign to see what they need to do going forward, and one hopes they'll learn the lesson that going to the extremes doesn't get you elected.
What advice would you have for traditional Democratic Party voters in America?
Well, they've got to stand up for what they believe in, shout it out, and it took in the end in the UK for some of our leading members of Parliament who are friends of Israel, for instance, they left their party. They couldn't be there any longer, but they played a very important role. There's an element of fighting from within. I mean, if you leave the Democratic Party, unless you cross the aisle, as you call it, there's nowhere to go. I think that they need to fight and need to shout it out. It's like anti-Semitism and like any of these things. If you stay silent, it'll continue.
Is this an issue just for the presidency, or in your case, the prime ministership, or do you see this as an issue on the local election level as well?
No, entirely on the local election. I mean, in Britain, it was what they did very well was go across constituency to constituency and start trying to take it over, as they have done in the Labour Party. So, although we won, the remnants of the numbers of 200-odd Labour members of Parliament in the House of Commons today, many of them are of the ilk of and believe in the views of Corbyn. And so, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to rid themselves of this far left extreme views.